not talking about somebody that can both cast it and use blind fighting. The wizard cast darkness.
Ah, we've left the realm of
And
reality.
hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Darkness.
I was just gonna turn my camera off, but then I was like, oh, I don't want to screw anything up, so we'll just leave it.
All right.
Darkness.
I'm gonna
There we
cover
go.
my eyes.
Wait.
All right,
There we
yeah,
go.
all right,
There we
you
go. Oh yeah, I got a little anti-spy thing on my camera. This this is a second level spell for sorcerers, warlock, wizards, circle of the land, swamp, druids, oathbreaker, paladins. It's an action cast, 60-foot cast range, 16-foot radius sphere.
Do go on.
Oh,
What?
sorry. Yeah. I'm just getting a weird message from Zoom. 50 radius sphere. The darkness spreads. Magical darkness spreads from a point you choose within range to fill a 15-foot radius sphere for the duration. The darkness spreads around corners. Creature with dark vision can't see through this darkness, and non-magical light can't illuminate it. If the point you choose is an object you are holding or one that isn't being order carried, the darkness emanates from the object and moves with it, completely covering the source of the darkness. When a opaque object such as a bowl or helm blocks the darkness. Cool. And then we got, if any of the spell's area overlaps with an area of light created by a spell of second level or lower, the spell that created the light is dispelled. This concentration 10 minutes.
All right.
All right. Before we go into like the Warlock 1 build that wants this, everyone else, if you're like a Paladin Oathbreaker that's like, is this good? If you're a Sorcerer that's like, should I take this? What do you think?
Well, from what I've learned about the visibility rules and everything, it's just you can't see, but nobody can see you. So you just have disadvantage on attacking each other.
Yeah, you're net neutral.
Yeah.
Because they have advantage from attacking a blinded creature, and you have a disadvantage, or they have disadvantage because they're blind to you. So
Right.
nothing happens.
Yeah. Maybe if. Ooh, what if? All right. Well, there's still the spellcasters that need line of sight. They can't cast those spells.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's trying to read a book. Can annoy them.
Sure. I think as a combat option, most character sheets don't want to be anywhere near this. It's kind of the same way. I fell down a lot on Fog Cloud over the years. This is a Fog Cloud that can't get dispelled. And in combat, unless you have a way to break the parity of being able to see through magical darkness, which there are a few options again to let you do that, this is going to be a net neutral at best and going to often be like, okay, we move out of the darkness, and then it's exactly as if we had straight into the darkness, and then there isn't really a reason to cast this. Now, out of combat, you get a big bubble of darkness, you carry a rock on you, you can move invisibly around as long as you can like use tremor sense or something to get the general gist of where you're going. If you want to block out a scrying orb like camera kind of deal, you can just darkness it. You can put darkness to deny vision of specific events and things like that. This is the kind of thing where you would like smoke bomb, but it lasts 10 minutes and doesn't get dispersed by someone breathing heavily like Fog Cloud does. So this is going to be a little bit more of a utility tool that some characters incidentally find they have, I think, more so than a utility tool you're going to seek out and want to pick up.
Yeah.
There are two exceptions. Two major exceptions, at least.
Are we talking about the Warlock?
And technically the shadow magic sorcerer option also gets a method to cast darkness and spend sorcery points to be able to see through that magical darkness.
What about the Gloomstalker? They don't get anything?
That's a good question. I doubt it, but they also don't get access to the spell.
Oh,
so Gloomstalker gets umbral sight. They can see dark. They have dark vision 60 feet, and it increases by 30 if it's their base one, but they don't see in magical darkness.
No.
Bummer.
What about our people with blind fighting?
You would be able to do that on Paladin, maybe, if you're like Oathbreaker.
I'm not talking about somebody that can both cast it and use blind fighting. The wizard cast darkness.
We've left the realm of
hands,
reality.
hands the rock to the fighter. It says, "Here, you hold this."
Are you,
Don't
as a
fight
fighter, going to take
blindly.
blind fighting and pray your wizard learns darkness?
Listen, I'm just trying to throw out options here.
I think more likely we have like multi-class things where you take blind fighting for your level different fighter, and then you can do like some blade singer stuff with it, where you darkness yourself. You got blind fighting, so you see within 10 feet of you. You run around with the darkness, and you can see in the dark with the blind fighting. That's kind of cute. So maybe that's a thing you could consider. I don't hate that, honestly. 2 levels of
But
fighter for action surge is normally pretty good. So
what about Eldritch Knights? Do they get access to this? No.
this is an evocation. They do. It just happens at like 11th level or some crap because they're third casters.
Right.
But still, you could do blind fighting with Eldritch Knight. That's a good point. Or with like Rogue doesn't have a way to break the parity. So maybe with blind fighting, you put this on yourself whenever you're in the middle of things, or as you're engaging things, you run at them. You can see them through the blindness or through the darkness. You got blind fighting; they can't see you. You get advantage on all your attack rolls. They have disadvantage on all their attacks against you. That seems pretty spicy, honestly. That seems pretty solid. All right, there's another example, and that is just like to say we're talking about every way there is in this game to break parity with this thing. The easiest way to do it is the Warlock Invocation Devil's Sight that lets you see through magical darkness, and then you take Eldritch Blast, and then no one can hit you, and you have advantage on all your attack rolls, and you're just like, I walk around as this darkness bubble that eviscerates anything that I can see. It's pretty cool. And you can do a similar thing with Sorcerer with Scorching Rays and stuff, using the Shadow Magic Darkness to let yourself see through it. I like a lot that Eldritch Knight concept of, you can see through your own darkness using the blind fighting that you kind of got in the 15-foot radius sphere. You can see most things in your darkness anyway. That's a pretty cool idea. I like that a lot. And that's honestly where this spell probably lives, is on those kinds of sheets. Like those 3, 4, maybe 5 options in this game that give you a way to break the parity, and you put this with that, and you have a kind of unfair little invisibility build kind of working for you.
Now you kind of hand waved when I mentioned earlier about targeting spellcasters. Is that just because it's only 15-foot radius and so easy to walk out of?
If I was doing that on a spellcaster, that's the first obvious problem with it. I wouldn't be putting it on them. I'd be putting it on me, right? If I'm dealing with enemy spellcasters that can easily leave this area, there's no reason for me to cast it on them, because they'll go and scoot, right? Like that's just what'll happen, and then they'll have line of sight and there'll be no issues there. The vast majority of battle maps, and there'll be a couple where they'll like have to move someone they don't want to, maybe, but just chuck a fireball at them, or hold person them, or cast any other debilitating effect that will prevent them from casting spells also that's consistent, right? Like a hold person will always prevent a human spellcaster from casting spells because they'll be paralyzed. This is, they could just go scoot. Like a fog cloud is that effective there. I don't see that being a real use case.
All right, what if you I don't think there's rules for this. I was going to say you could cast it on a crossbow bolt, shoot the wizard. Do they have to spend like a round pulling it out of them, or do they just
They can interact with an object to pull it out of them? If your DM rules, it sticks to them either way, so they won't even have to spend actions doing that.
Okay. Just shooting out ideas here.
Sure, maybe get some really sticky glue and slide it onto a rock and then drop it in their pocket.
Well, then
that's
it's
a bomb
concealed.
idea, right?
No, then it's concealed.
Oh, that's a great point. It can't be concealed.
Unless
that's a really fun bit of text. I love that little bit of text.
Stockings, then you could do that.
Against the burlesque strippers, you've got a weapon at your disposal. From the 30s, you're good to go. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a neat little spell to exist. I think it's base level. Most characters probably don't want it, but it's still not that offensive. If you find it on your character sheet, you'll probably find a couple of utility bits while exploring the world to do with it. As a little combo piece that a couple archetypes can build towards, I like it a lot. It's kind of like, if you're DMing, there'll be a trial by fire that you'll do as people start to bring cheesier and cheesier builds to the table. And like the Darkness build is one that you have to figure out how to overcome relatively quickly, or you'll just find this one character is so much better than every other character, to the point where like sometimes you'll get groups where everyone huddles in the darkness of the Warlock while they kill everything that can't see them. And if your DM doesn't know how to handle that kind of problem, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So this is the kind of effect that I would expect DMs will have to quickly learn how to overcome, or where the games are going to really suffer for it. This spell might even get banned for that reason at some tables, or more likely the things that break the parity with it will get banned. It is manageable though. You can definitely play around this. You can beat around this. You can have monsters that don't give a crap about there being a darkness there, and they'll just ravage them anyway, break the concentration, then they're a sitting duck. So like you don't necessarily have that big of issues. Like if there's a giant blob of darkness, you know exactly where to throw your fireballs. Right?
Yeah.
So this is a thing you can counteract in a pretty easy, meaningful fashion. It is a really cool little build direction to go into. Even if like you do this, it's not going to break the game in half most of the time, at least. At an experienced DM's table, this isn't going to break the game in half. I think it's a solid 3 out of 5. Perfectly fine little spell, fun to build around, cool little breaking parity things. You can have a lot of fun with this, I think.
All right, yeah, 3 out of 5 sounds good. There's fun to be had. Perhaps more utility than what we discussed.
For sure.
Yeah, thinking about escapes and things that or yeah, whatever. Darkness, good times. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments. I'm sure you'll have some for this one. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.